Well, we're getting to him. We are getting to him. Thank you to John Morgan for this beautiful, wonderful. I couldn't be happier. And for those who don't know what's going on yet, I promise you, you're going to just. It's everything. It's everything. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Oh, Rottweiler. Rottweiler. Oh my God. Rottweiler. Oh my God. You know, I thought today was going to suck when I woke up. I had to pay taxes. I wasn't happy about it. And a good bit of my day was spent dealing with that situation and making sure I got every possible deduction I could get before I submitted my taxes. And so I thought today was going to be like a horrible day and I really wasn't looking forward to it. But now, April 15th of 2024 will forever live in infamy because John Morgan is the new king of the chat for irritating James. That's James Lindsay, yeah. In the most hilarious possible way. Oh, Brucey. Oh my God, you guys are just you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Okay, so first of all, I need everyone to mount the like button for me because I promise you this is gonna be worth it. I promise. This all started with a movie with, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies that's ever been made. I love this movie. I have watched Midsummer like at least 24 times. I love it. I know it's creepy, and I made my community watch it last night because every Sunday night in my supporter Discord, we do a movie night, and during April, I get to pick out all the movies, and I was like, we're watching Midsummer! And then we realized, holy shit, Midsummer is about a Gnostic sex cult. It's literally about a Gnostic sex cult. We were like, James, we found the Gnostic sex cult, bro. And basically, we kind of thought that was it. We watched Midsummer. We had a great time watching Midsummer. Yes, we did. We did, Brucey. We watched the director's cut, and it was totally worth it. It's a really good movie. We joked about finding the Gnostic sex cult because, of course, as you know, James Lindsay and Logan Lansing wrote an entire book called Queering the American Child that basically said queer theory is a Gnostic sex cult. And our position, oh, look, we already have James's fans in the chat. This is we already have James's this is your typical James Lindsay stan right here. Oh, Jennifer. Wait, Jennifer, wait until you see what happened. We're going to block that James Lindsay stand now. He's obviously not smart enough to be here. And so we watched the movie. We had some fun with it. Okay, so for people who don't understand this, James Lindsay and Logan Lansing have written a book saying queer theory is basically a Gnostic sex cult. Our position is that James Lindsay and Logan Lansing are full of shit, because what queer theory is an attempt to abolish the gender binary, because they believe that the woke left believes that capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership, created the gender binary, which is men and women. It put men in the workplace doing all the work and getting all the power and the money, women in the home doing the unpaid labor of raising the nuclear family, which is otherwise known as the next generation of proletarian worker. That is why the left wants to destroy the nuclear family. They're using queer theory to do it, both by attacking the gender binary directly and attempting to abolish it. That's what non-binary means. It means no binary. And also by attacking the nuclear family, because they believe the nuclear family upholds capitalism through social reproduction theory. And if you read the Mary Nardini gangs through a queerist insurrection, which is basically like the queer Marxism Bible, they say exactly the same thing. James has never read the Mary Nardini gang. At least he's never reported on the Mary Nardini gang. I have. Does James even know what the Mary Nardini gang is? Probably not. I knew what it was 10 months ago. My point here is this. We have some pretty legitimate disagreements with James Lindsay's position that queer theory is a Gnostic sex cult, and all of our positions are based off of watching queer Marxist training that's happening in the real world. I have been undercover at their events on multiple occasions. I have never seen a Gnostic sex cult. We have watched hundreds of hours of queer theory and queer Marxism on my channel. The real trainings they do in the real world, where they're teaching each other about their ideas. We've watched college classes. We've watched coffee shop lectures. We've watched their lectures that they do at conferences. We've watched their online events. We've gone undercover at their virtual online events, which I don't really know if that's undercover, but like we infiltrate their events because they're going to kick us out if they know we're there. We watch all of it. We watch as much queer Marxism as I can possibly find. We have never in the 2 years that I've been focusing on digging up as much queer Marxism on the internet as I can possibly find, we have never seen any sign of a Gnostic sex cult. The only reason that there's a book out there saying there's a Gnostic sex cult is because James Lindsay and Logan Lansing have cherry-picked academic research from decades ago and pieced together some sort of fucking conspiracy theory that does not align with what is going on in the real world. James's ideas are crazy. I'm sorry. There was a time when I had a lot of respect for James, and really, I'm never going to take this back, because I do truly believe. I dedicated the last chapter of my book to him because I do truly believe that if everyone was working as hard as he is, then we wouldn't actually have a problem right now. And I do not take that back. I completely stand by it. In fact, that's what inspired me to work so hard doing what I'm doing, was seeing him working so hard. But at some point, James fell off the fucking crazy train and is now lying to millions of people about what queer theory is. And this is not an insignificant thing, because it's literally going to result in getting people's children taken away from them. The lies that James is telling is going to result in people's kids getting taken away. And everyone who watches my content regularly knows this. We can see it, because all we do on this channel is, for 6 days a week, watch what the left is doing in the real world. So, a little while back, I think we kind of decided that the best way to handle James Lindsay falling off the crazy train, James Lindsay denouncing me, saying I'm some sort of fucking operative, James Lindsay tweeting, telling people to block everyone in my community. He's literally done this. My community was trying to show James' primary source video, and he didn't want to see the primary source video, and he literally retweeted one of the smartest and best and most loyal members of my community, Reagan, and he told everyone on his Twitter account to block Reagan. Now, you might not like my tone. You might not like my attitude. Reagan is one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet on the internet. He is lying because the amount of Marxism that James Lindsay has read, he understands what they're doing. And if he doesn't, the bare minimum that James Lindsay is doing is being grossly irresponsible. But I'm going to say he's lying because I don't know, having watched socialism for 3 years now, almost every day of my life, I don't know how someone can engage in that much of their content and not understand what they're doing. So he's either lying or he's being grossly irresponsible. Rottweiler says, I have a theory. He is pandering hard to the Bible thumpers with the religious terror arguments because he made Christian nationalists mad. He is grifting. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. So a while back, I think my community and I kind of decided that the very best way to handle James Lindsay is to make fun of him and mock him incessantly because he's being a dick. I'm sorry. He's being an intellectually dishonest dick. And I wrote the book about fighting back against the woke left. And if James wants to act like a fucking leftist, then I will use everything in my book to combat this problem, because right now I actually view James Lindsay lying to millions of people about what queer theory is and what queer Marxism is and what's going on in the public schools and why it's happening. I actually view that to be a much more significant problem than what the left is doing. Because James is leading people down entirely the wrong fucking path. And we know it's wrong. There is no doubt in our minds that it is wrong. There is no doubt in anyone's minds who watches what we watch that he is being intellectually dishonest. So we decided to start making fun of him. One of the rules for the actively unwoke in my book is literally mock them relentlessly. So we started making memes. We formed a reply guy army in James's Twitter feed. We have been haranguing James for months and months and months to start saying the word capitalism. And I think he's finally lost it. I think we're getting to him, and I'm going to show you why. But the thing is, I just want to make sure we're clear about this. The fact that James Lindsay responded to what he responded to tonight tells me we need to up our numbers. This is a time to double down. We've now pissed James off. He's acting crazy. He's like this. Like, everyone needs to make a new sock account on Twitter. I don't care if you've already made several sock accounts. Bot has like 27 sock accounts. Everyone needs to make a new sock account on Twitter. We need to up our game, yo. I want meme production going into overdrive on this. Here's what happens. Here's what happened. John Morgan. John Morgan has been in my community for years. John Morgan is one of the sweetest college students that you will ever meet in your life. And John Morgan happens to be a very talented writer. There's John. Hi, John. We love you, John. John is now the king of the chat for pulling this little stunt. John Morgan writes fan fictions. That's just for fun, just for funsies. He writes better things too, but fan fictions for funsies. And this isn't the first fan fiction that John has written. John once wrote a fan fiction about Hunter Avallone and John Doyle having a torrid affair. It was fabulous. So I was surprised when I woke up this morning. Got to get my crown on straight. I was surprised when I woke up this morning that John Morgan had written a fan fiction about me. Now, I got to admit, I was a little bit nervous, and I didn't even read the fan fiction when I retweeted it because I was a little bit nervous. I was a little bit self-conscious, and I wasn't prepared to deal with it yet because I was dealing with taxes when I retweeted it this morning. But I know John Morgan, and I know he does a good job, and I know that he has a good sense of these things, and so I retweeted it. And I mean, come on, I am the May Queen. If you guys don't know, in Midsummer, one of the key plot lines in Midsummer is that the main character becomes the May Queen of the Gnostic sex cult. And so this is literally me as the May Queen, or the Red May Queen. And so John Morgan wrote this fan fiction, and I hadn't even gotten a chance to read it yet. And then we were on my community Zoom call earlier today, And while we were on the community Zoom call, we discovered this. Check this out. This is part 1. So you guys know Poetry Painter. Poetry Painter is an unhinged psycho. Poetry Painter has been stalking me on the internet for 4 years. Poetry Painter used to slide into my DMs demanding to tell me what I could and could not say because she organized an AMA for me on Reddit, and therefore that gave her license to tell me what I could and could not say for the rest of my life. Well, guess what happens? I don't like it when people tell me what I can and cannot say, and I blocked her ass. And then she got all pissed off, and she has spent the last 4 years stalking me, harassing me, doxing my friends. She has dragged every single one of my supporters that she knows about. She tweets about me almost every single day. 4 years of this bitch. Now, because, as Kristen says, she's insufferable, people have like started to kind of ignore her because honestly, this is like, she's got a fucking problem, man. She really does. But people have started to ignore her, and I kind of took her as like a little bit of an amusement, whatever. It's kind of funny when some unhinged psycho is like so trying to own you on the internet and it never quite works out for them. So I saw right after we started my community Zoom call, I saw that Poetry Painter had retweeted a screenshot of John Morgan's fan fiction. Now, I hadn't read John Morgan's fan fiction yet. I had no idea what it said. But Poetry Painter kind of gave me a little preview, and she said, "Oh, happy birthday to me. I don't want to spoil this for you." She actually did spoil it for me. It was very rude. But she retweeted a piece of fan fiction in which she literally beats in which she literally beats conceptual James with a whip. And he is eventually burned alive as a human sacrifice. Folks, this behavior is not hinged into reality. I will give you the link and we're going to read it. We're going to read the fan fiction. Now, anyone who knows what the movie Midsummer is about that we watched last night in my supporter Discord that inspired the goddamn fan fiction is that, listen, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there are people that are burned alive as a sacrifice. It's in the movie. It was a satire based on the movie. It was a joke based on a movie. A very popular movie that millions and millions and millions of people have seen. But obviously, Poetry Painter has not seen it and thus had no idea what John Morgan was talking about. Yes, John Morgan wrote a fan fiction making fun of James Lindsay and the Gnostic sex cult. Yes, he did. In which James Lindsay is literally consumed by the Gnostic sex cult. No one was actually harmed in the writing of this fan fiction, people. So that was good enough, right? That was good enough. I was like, oh shit, the fan fiction must be great, but wait for it. Wait for it. Then one of the greatest moments of my life happened. I just don't know what's going to top this, guys. I feel like I've had the best orgasm that I can ever possibly have. And there's just no point in me having sex anymore because, like, I just don't know if it's possible for any future orgasms to top the orgasm that I've just had. James Lindsay retweeted her. James Lindsay retweeted Poetry Painter. And he said, borderline devaluation is a sight to behold. James Lindsay is so pissed off that a community member of mine wrote a fan fiction starring me in which James Lindsay is burned as a human sacrifice because it was based on Midjourney. James Lindsay's literally burned as a human sacrifice to the Gnostic sex cult. That he has missed the part where this is a joke, and he's gone right to Carlin is dehumanizing me in a borderline episode. James Lindsay is insinuating that I have a personality disorder because I retweeted a fan fiction based on a movie. Yep, he's butthurt. It's true. I don't like that word, but he is. Yep, the circle is complete. Yep. Because my community members have creativity, James. No, actually, Victor asked me the same thing. And John, this is the only edit I would make to the fan fiction. We should have put you should have put James in the bear costume. Yeah, it is rather amazing. It is. Yep. James and the Gnostic sex cult Peach. Well, indeed. Indeed. Does James even know what a fan fiction is? I'm not sure. Well, this is what I said, Adrian. I was like, James is just upset that I'm the Red May Queen and he's not the Red May Queen. I'm sorry, James. Like, you're not a girl. You don't get to compete in the Red May competition. Yeah, he is having a tantrum. James Lindsay's having a fucking tantrum over a goddamn fan fiction. No, we didn't. We didn't have. Oh, did you make a picture? Can you post the picture, please? Post the picture. So does everyone want to read? Do you guys want me to read to you what James Lindsay is so upset about? Do you guys want me to read, like, what he had to say about it? Yeah, Elder Millennial over on Rumble is right. It is a derivative of The Wicker Man. The Wicker Man, also a great movie. The original is obviously the best. But the remake's not bad. Elder Millennial, what I would tell you is that James Lindsay has no fucking idea what Gnosticism is, and if you want more explanation to that, we actually talk about it quite extensively. He has no idea what Gnosticism is. There is no hidden knowledge, bro. That's not real, but James Lindsay's an atheist and he doesn't understand that. Anyway, let's read it. And I'm going to be honest, John Morgan just read it to us in my community Zoom, and I just don't know if I'm going to be able to do it justice. But I'm going to try. Let me take a sip of water. We can all find out what James Lindsay's so upset about. Oh, God. I feel so much pressure. So much pressure. Look at this. Only like 17 people have read it, and James Lindsay's like, she's dehumanizing me! We got to get those numbers up. More people. Everyone needs to share John Morgan's fan fiction. I just put the link in the chat. I'll put it on Rumble too. James is not an ally. James is lying to people. James is ignoring primary source evidence. Yes, we have many better ideas. We have significantly better ideas. The problem is James is lying to everyone, and it's become a constant distraction, and then people have to unlearn all the bullshit that he's taught them. So no, James is not my ally, bro. I will align with anyone who wants to teach people that queer theory is about abolishing the gender binary and a nuclear family because the left believes both those things uphold capitalism. James is teaching people fucking fairy tales, is telling people to block me in my community, is now accusing me of having a personality disorder when James will not look at primary source evidence. So no, I'm not allies with James. If anything, James is years behind where I am and where my community is. He is years behind and he is shilling bullshit, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. And James does not understand Gnosticism at all in any way. James is grifting at this point. Anyone who watches the socialist left can see this. And if you guys don't believe me, I have thousands of hours of free content available on my channel. You're welcome to avail yourself of it. You don't need to take my word for it. Unlike James, I don't go pinky swear, trust me, bro. You see every single source and you get to decide for yourself. We believe that James is basically an ally of the left at this point because James is throwing the right so far off what the left is actually doing. Like, it's helping the left. The left loves this shit. I know, because unlike James, I go undercover at the left's events and I hear them talk about how much they love it. And it's crystal clear to anyone that looks. I'm sorry, James Lindsay stands. Listen, if you're a follower of James Lindsay and you just found me because his name is in the video and you're like, what is this bitch saying? I understand why this might sound crazy to you, but I promise you, if you come and you watch the presentations that we watch with us, I'm not, you guys can see for yourself. All I'm doing is finding the presentations and showing them to you. You guys can see for yourself what the left is doing. It is crystal goddamn clear when you actually sit down and listen. And when my community tried to show James primary source evidence, James blocked them and then told his followers to block them too. That's how intellectually honest James is at this point. If you show him primary source video evidence that contradicts the Gnostic sex cult bullshit, he will block you. He will flame you to his audience. Don't tell me I have to be an ally with that guy. He's behind us. He should be begging us for the information that we've been collecting for the last 3 goddamn years that he had no goddamn idea about. And until James covers the Mary Nardini gang, exactly. We were thinking the same thing, Human Centipede. Until James covers the Mary Nardini gang, he has no goddamn business talking about queer nothing. The Mary Nardini gang was first mentioned on my channel 10 goddamn months ago. In a queer Marxism presentation that we were watching from the channel Red May, which is relevant to the story. Anyway, let's read the fan fiction that James Lindsay is telling his followers that I have borderline personality disorder over that I didn't even write. Red Summer by John Morgan. One day in Red May, Carlin got a DM from Sophie Lewis inviting her to come visit her commune. Sophie Lewis is, of course, our favorite abolish the family socialist. So Carlin went out to the middle of the forest where Sophie seemed way too excited to see her. Sophie took her to the commune that was a group of red-painted buildings in the middle of a large clearing. She showed Carlin the communal kitchen and the communal bed, which was a giant bed the whole community slept in. Sophie then showed Carlin the red May pole, which had the hammer and sickle at the very top. Every May, we dance around this pole. Afterwards, we sacrifice a virgin in hopes of fostering the revolution, Sophie explained. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you. I had to. I'm the Red May Queen. Best I could do on short notice. Cool. How long do we dance for? Carlin said. Forever, because our revolution is perpetual, Sophie replied. However, the last person still dancing will be crowned the Red May Queen. You should participate. I'd love to see you as my queen. Sophie's eyes sparkled. Carlin was quickly fitted for a flowy white frock, and she went out to the Red May pole to dance. There, she met the rest of the collective, which was made up of genderless persons, all of whom wore white frocks. Everyone danced around the red maypole till people began dropping from exhaustion. Eventually, Sophie collapsed to the ground. Sophie, no! Carlin cried as she continued dancing. It's okay, my darling. Keep dancing. There's only you and one other person, Sophie said, exasperated. Who is it? It's last year's Red May Queen, Sophie said, with belated breath. They have won almost every year. Carlin looked up and laid her eyes upon the last dancer, Emmy O'Brien. Emmy O'Brien is our other favorite abolish the family socialist. Heidi, I'm glad you're here. Stick around. We have a job for you. I'm glad you're here. O'Brien looked at Carlin with a smirk over her face. Carlin knew she couldn't beat them from just dancing alone. Carlin did a twirl, and so did O'Brien. Of course, Carlin did it better. Carlin kicked her legs high and inched her way close to O'Brien. Now they were face to face. In one swift move, Carlin did one final twirl into O'Brien, knocking them down to the ground. Carlin took deep breaths and looked around. She was the last dancer standing. All hail the Red May Queen! Cried the collective. Everyone in the commune bowed before Carlin. She was put in a throne where a crown of red roses were bestowed upon her head. Carlin looked at Sophie, who beamed with pride and blushed. Later, the collective sat at a large dining table for a grand vegan feast with a side of bugs. However, Carlin got to eat a big, juicy steak and drink lots of fluffernutter beer. So what happens next? Carlin asked, as Sophie cut Carlin's steak and spoon-fed it to her. Next is the virgin sacrifice. But there is just one problem. The offering isn't as pure as we thought. You see, he refuses to acknowledge that whiteness means capitalism. Jenna Fire, our resident erotic fiction writer, so proud of John for writing his first BDSM piece. Yes, we're all very proud of John. Carlin gasped, covering her mouth. That certainly won't do. But that's where you come in, Sophie continued explaining. He came here to join us, thinking we were a gnostic sex cult, and only you have the power to beat that notion out of him. Take me to him, Carlin commanded. Sophie took Carlin to a giant red barn. She pushed open the doors to reveal James Lindsay laying on his stomach and tied to a slanted board. He turned his head to look behind him as best he could as the rest of the collective came into the barn. Sophie Lewis approached James and cupped both his cheeks in her hand, lifting his face towards her. Tell me, James, she said gently, why did you come here? To join the Gnostic sex cult, he cried. It's the only thing that gets me hard now. But we're not a Gnostic sex cult, said Sophie. She let him go and returned to Carlin, giving her a giant red whip. You know what you must do, Sophie whispered into Carlin's ears. A tear came to Carlin's eye as she approached James with the red whip. A smile briefly crossed her face. Carlin slowly raised the whip. James's eyes widened with terror. No! Please, no! Say capitalism, James! As she cracked her whip on his back. No, Mommy! He howled in pain. Carlin hit him with her whip again. Whiteness means capitalism. The left wants to abolish capitalism that they define as private property. Whiteness means capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism, the collective chanted. Carlin gritted her teeth. Sweat poured from her brow, and she slung the whip harder and harder with each blow. The collective mimicked her struggle, flinging their arms, gnashing their teeth, and sweating profusely. It means capitalism, James! You must say capitalism! Carlin screamed, tears pouring from her eye. The cult wailed in union. Say capitalism, James! But it's a gnostic sex cult, James moaned, with perhaps some enthusiasm. No! Carlin roared with a heavy blow from her whip. It is capitalism thereafter. Say capitalism. Capitalism! James cried from the depths of his grifter soul. Whiteness means capitalism! The far left seeks to abolish capitalism that they define as private property. Yes! Carlin cried tears of joy. She threw the whip down, ran to James, and threw her arms around him. His head rested against her bosom. A tear ran down Carlin's face and fell onto James's. That's all I wanted to hear you say, Carlin said in a tender voice. Sophie turned to the collective. The lamb has been made pure. The collective roared with cheer. His ashes will carry the sacred knowledge that whiteness means capitalism to the rest of the world. The collective whooped. James was then taken to the pyre and lit on fire. Whiteness means capitalism, he cried as he burnt away to dust. His voice carried on the smoke by the wind to the rest of the world that then cried, whiteness means capitalism. Now knowing the truth, Carlin and Sophie danced together, kicking the ashes of the pyre into the air. Whiteness means capitalism, cried the collective. All hail the Red May Queen. The end. It's a masterpiece. It really is. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece that I just don't know if this will ever be topped. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. But it was beautiful on its own. I was thrilled when John read it in the community earlier. It was beautiful on its own. But what made it even better is James Lindsay claiming that I have borderline personality disorder because one of my community members wrote a fan fiction and then James retweeted it without actually looking at what it was and didn't understand that it was a joke and had a massive hissy fit on Twitter to try to rile people up against me using the words of a psychotic lunatic. And look, Judy got blocked by James! Congratulations, Judy. I know you've been working on that block for a while. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's look at some of the replies to James Lindsay, also from people who have not bothered to actually read the fan fiction. Let's look at what people are saying. Yeah. God forbid people have fun and a sense of humor. James, do you know who else has no sense of humor, bro? The left. The woke left. They lost their sense of humor too, bro. Let's look at the replies. Check this out. This one, this woman right here is a conservative Christian authoritarian. She wants Christians to like legislate their morality, and she got all pissed off at me when I told her that she was being a conservative Christian authoritarian. She's not happy about this. One knows they made it when people write hostile fanfics. Was that hostile? It's probably better than any Stephen King book. Yeah, that's true. Isn't she pro-child porn? No, she's not. Shudders. They're calling me the woman from Misery. Does anyone think that these people are going to save us from the left when they can't handle a goddamn fan fiction? Sounds lit AF. It was. It was. John! John, has James blocked you yet? John says, thanks for promoting my fan fiction, James. Kristen says, James, be better. Carlin is sharing the truth about the Marxists taking over America. True. True. My infrequent nuggets of truth. Okay, we have 6 days a week of truth, darling. I mean, I bet James does appreciate a little whip now and then. But that doesn't oh, look at this. I see she set her flying monkeys on you and others again. Yeah, anyone who understands what a joke is and what a fan fiction is, you guys are all now flying monkeys. Look at this. She sits on her live streams and screams about how you won't admit that whiteness is seen as private property to Marxists and that their project is about abolishing capitalism. Wish you already detailed years ago. Has James ever detailed that? When has James said that? Because we've looked through James's archives and I'm pretty sure he hasn't said that. Also, how does Patrick know what I'm doing on my live streams? Does Patrick watch my live streams and he got pissed off because I blocked him? Probably for being a dick. Oh, the Mills for Liberty made an appearance. Oh, this is what got Judy blocked. It's not a coping mechanism when the person devalued has shown themselves to be worthy of devaluation. It's not a Gnostic sex cult, James. Can I just say, Judy has become like the most based member of my community. And Judy, and I don't mean any offense by this, she's an older lady that knits all day. It's just like most based member of the community by far. Judy has give a dressing down to rock stars over this. Judy will give a dressing down to James. God. Let's see, anything else? That's just someone posting the link. Borisenko is a nutjob grifter and has been since the beginning. She seeks fame and attention, so she's jealous of James because he is knowledgeable in that area that she wants to be a star in. This is the typical James Lindsay supporter, guys. This is the typical James. They do so much research that they literally don't realize that all we do is sit here 6 days a week watching leftist training. Like, all I do is find the videos and show them. That's it. But then Poetry Painter was getting some replies as well. Because James, and I bet she's like all excited that James retweeted her. Let's see what's going on there. Another hostile fanfic. Kristen says, seriously, this was a play on words or movie. We watched Midsummer. It's quite literally a Gnostic sex cult. Nick says, the greatest fan fiction ever. Tayton says, Poetry Painter whenever Carlin comes up in her head. True, Tayton. Oh, this one. This crazy lady has been like absolute nightmare lately. She is a disgusting person. If you smell shit everywhere you go, then it's probably you. She's the literal definition of a cluster bee. I want everyone to compare the James Lindsay stans and my haters to like what you see in my audience. And decide what group you want to be a part of, man. Do you want to be a part of the group that literally has a meltdown over a fan fiction? Or do you want to be part of the group that's writing the damn fan fiction? That's creating things that are fun and funny and engaging. Like, which one do you want to be a part of? Do you want to be part of the group that's like, no one can ever have fun ever again on the internet? Or do you want to be part of the group that actually laughs and doesn't take ourselves too seriously? Where you can wear a crown on the internet? I mean, come on. You know, that's the type of stuff we're doing in my community. We're not just like James and talking about creating culture. We're actually going out and doing it. We just launched the Unwoke Zine project. This has been under development for like months in my community, where we're creating these amazing zines to use as propaganda, and people can print them off. And we're going to do a whole activity where we're going to distribute them in communities, and the QR codes link back to my content, telling people, like, explaining the left and breaking it down. Like, don't these look sick? I mean, there are multiple people in my community that are working on this, and I just want to shout out all of them. It looks so good. I'm making merch right now with this stuff on it. You're going to be able to buy merch with this stuff. Like, this is like punk rock, man. I don't know how well. We're not going to make it with James. James is making fun of the things that you need to do in order to educate the general public. We are creating things to go into the real world, to grab people's attention in an edgy, cool way that James would never dare dream. I'm putting all this stuff on t-shirts right now. I'm putting it on merch. This is like fucking punk rock, man. This is edgy. This is gritty. This isn't going to come from someone politically polished in the fucking machine. This is what's going to get people attention. This is what's going to get us in front of independents and disaffected lefties, going into bookstores, going into coffee shops, printing this stuff off. Yes. Do you know I used to work with a member of the Dead Milkmen? True story. I worked with a member of the Dead Milkmen for a little while. It's a really nice guy. But that's what this is. Like, you print these off, you bring them to bookstores, you bring them to coffee shops, you put them where flyers are. We're going to make merch with this stuff. You can make stickers. You can make pins. All of this stuff. This is an iPhone wallpaper. All of it with QR codes to direct people for more information. And when they're using the QR codes on some of these things, they don't know where they're going. We have a whole plan around this stuff. And if you don't like the look of this, come and join us. We'll teach you how to do it. Anyone can do this. Kelly, get in the supporter Discord. Anyone can do this. Everyone can make their own zines. Everyone can have their own perspective. They can all have their own look. But then we want to make it publicly available. Anyone can do whatever they want with these files. If you want to make stuff, if you want to print them out, if you want to bring them to, like, have groups go around your community and distribute them, this is what the left is doing, guys. So we're going to use their method against them. And it looks so fucking cool. So you guys can be on James Lindsay's team complaining that I have borderline personality disorder over a fan fiction. Or you can be making cool shit like this. And Heidi, I don't know if you're still here, but we have an idea for something that you can do in Portland and the surrounding area that can help us. We're going to make trouble. Obviously nothing illegal, but we're going to do something that's going to cause trouble. And we want you involved, Heidi. I hope she's still here. Anyway, yeah, you want to come cause trouble with us? Has to do with this. We need a lesbian. You're our only on-call lesbian. Exactly. Beta Lindsay or Alpha Carlin. Anyway, that's all I had. I just had to share with you guys. Does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to say? Let me know in the chat. Because Heidi, we're gonna flyer some queer coffee shops. We're gonna go put up posters and flyers and pamphlets in queer coffee shops. And so we need a queer to come with. You're gonna give us cover, Heidi. We want to get on the news. The idea is we want to put these materials in places where normally only leftists go. And maybe we want to make a giant poster of some of these and start hanging them up all over queer coffee shops and queer bookstores. And maybe we're hoping that if we do this in enough leftist communities, like maybe Portland and the surrounding area, that maybe we can get on the news and maybe we can have a whole bunch of leftists all pissed off about the fact that we're using their strategies against them and talking about queer theory. And we all thought it would be better if we had a lesbian with us. We'll talk. We'll talk. Well, I know how to disguise. I know how to have a disguise. I have disguises for socialist events. We'll talk. Yasmin, you can help too. We need a trans, and Yasmin is a trans black woman. So Yasmin has no one can question Yasmin. Yup. We need a trans black woman. Yasmin's like our fucking wild card. As long as Yasmin's with us, no one can question what we're doing. It's true. Yep. I'm going to be non-binary, of course. I will have to wear my chest binder again. See, we all got to work together. Unlike James Lindsay's uptight fucking Christian conservative crowd, we don't have a giant stick up our asses. We're like the bad news bears of the goddamn internet. This is why everyone wants to be over here, because we're way more fun and we drink beer in the dugout and stuff like that. Should make an audio. That's actually not a bad idea, Human Centipede. I wanted to record it for a podcast. I was telling John earlier, like, we need to record it for a podcast. We need to put sound effects. Like, psh. Oh my God. You'll be gay and autistic, Mac? Excellent, excellent. Yes. Yes, you can. You can put on a sexy corset and maybe even a wig and call yourself oppressed. Yes. 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 And when we win and all of our shit is all over the news with all sorts of leftists complaining, James Lindsay can tell people about how I have borderline personality disorder and that's the only reason why any of this stuff happened. And I'll be like, sick, bro. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. And he can cry on Twitter all he wants about the fact that he got featured in a minor role. See, this is the real problem. This is why James is really upset. I was the main character in the fan fiction, and James was the virgin goddamn sacrifice to the Gnostic sex cult. And it was just a minor role. James was like slotted in at the end. That's why he's really upset. Because he wasn't the star of the fan fiction. I was the Red May Queen. How do you get to the Discord group? Okay, Kelly, here's what you do. You go onto the Substack. And this is true for anyone that wants to join my Discord. You go to the Unwoke Roundup newsletter, April 18th through the 14th, because this has this week's perks. And then you scroll all the way down to the bottom. And for supporters on the Substack, where this red box is, you are going to find a link to the supporter Discord. Okay? So for supporters, this red box is not here. You're going to get a list of links. Come join the Discord. This is where we're doing the zine project. I want everyone involved. We will teach you how to do it. You'll be welcomed in to the private layer where we plan the shenanigans. And James and his minions can complain on Twitter about how mean we are. And that's just fine, man. That's just fine. People can decide what group they want to be in. The group that's having fun and creating creating culture and causing some good trouble, or the people with the giant stick up their asses. That's all. That's all. Anyone have anything else they want to say in the chat? Let me know. Nope, too late. That's not even my normal account bot. That's my sock account. I can't. James blocked me on my normal account, so I have a sock account, obviously. I have to tell you something special. We got passed. What does that mean? Thank you, Jennifer. Yo, you got to go back and watch, bro. You got to go back and watch. Yeah, exactly. Jeremy, you want to be part of the group that's correct. You never need to take my word for it. I show you what the left is saying. James does not show you what the left is saying. James shows you cherry-picked sections from cherry-picked academic papers from decades ago and pretends that's relevant when it's not. Why is my crown is sideways? Maybe my head's just sideways. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, our trouble is beautiful trouble. I love it, Jenny. We got a new law here. You got a new law making homeschooling easier. That's awesome. Well done. Well done. All right, guys, that's all I have. I wasn't planning on streaming tonight, but I had to. I had to. I hope you all enjoyed the fan fiction. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. And remember, guys, we're doing a spy stream tomorrow. Whiteness training tomorrow. There it is. Oh, you can't see that. We're doing a spy stream tomorrow around 7-ish p.m. Head over to the Substack, carlin.substack.com, link in the description below, and come and join us for a spy stream. I'll show you stuff James Lindsay doesn't even know is happening. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Take care. We'll see you soon.